What is going on, everyone? It is your boy Xander Ray here, and today I am back with another video for you guys. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make melodies, loops, and samples from scratch my way. I'm no expert, but I've been doing this for a while. If you want to check out my beats, check out my BeatStars, whatever. Links are below. You can see my work to see for yourself. But yeah, I'm going to be teaching you guys everything that I do in this channel, everything that I'm going to do is going to be completely transparent. You guys can feel free to ask questions, ask me for video requests, whatever it is you guys want to see. I am here for you guys to teach you guys and also to learn myself, because believe it or not, by making these videos, you know, I put a lot of research into really making sure that I try to give you guys the best information, so it helps me really learn as well. So ask away. What do you want to learn? If I don't know how to do it, I will go research, figure it out, and then I will bring it back to you guys in the most concise and clear way possible. So first off, I want to say, if you guys do enjoy the video, I would highly appreciate if you guys could click the like button, because that helps me with the YouTube algorithm, you know, just like everybody's saying nowadays, but it's true. So if you guys can do that, that goes a long way, and I would greatly appreciate that, especially if you get any value from this video, and I think you will, so stick around. Also, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, all of that stuff if you want to see future videos. But let's get started. I won't bore you guys too long. So, melodies, loops, and samples. I like to get started with the melody. Just really quickly, let's get into it. I'm going to assume that you guys know music theory. Hopefully you guys know major and minor scales. If you don't, I'll have a cheat sheet in the description below that you guys can download. Go ahead and check it out. Completely free. Check it out. The link will be there. But if you, or just Google it, whatever you want to do. So check out the link below for the cheat sheet on the music theory if you guys want to check that out. And yeah, so let's get started. I'm going to start off with my favorite scale, or one of my favorite scales, and it's the E flat minor scale. So the E flat minor is also the same thing as the D sharp minor scale. Flat means down, sharp means up. So E flat is the note below E. That's D sharp, which is the black note. So I'm going to start off with E flat minor, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how I make my melodies and loops and samples and all of that. So what I like to start off is, I like to start off by playing around. I use the Ableton Push 2, which if you guys are using Ableton and you have a Push 2, this thing's amazing. Highly recommend it. Look up the circle of fifths if you don't have Ableton. If you don't have a Push, that's okay. Either way, or use the cheat sheet down below. But we're going to start with the E flat minor scale, and we're going to lay down a nice little melody. We're just going to experiment, so let's try it out. Oh, I didn't even put a VST in. How about that? So the first thing you should do, of course, is put in a VST. I'm going to start off with Analog Labs, which is my favorite VST. Ever since I bought it about a year ago, I've been using this thing in every single beat that I make. I also have Omnisphere and Keyscape, so I do use those. I have Complete and stuff like that, but most of the time I'm using this. So to start off, I highly recommend that you guys start with a grand piano or just a piano, something simple, a very simple instrument. And then what we're going to do later is we're going to swap the instrument once we have our MIDI and our melodies and all of that kind of laid out. And then we'll start adding effects and going crazy. So bear with me here. So again, like I said, we're going to experiment and we're going to make a melody. If you guys don't have a Push 2, what you can do is write out your melody, right? Or write out the scale. So this is going to be the E flat minor scale, right? Boom. And then we are back at E flat, which is D sharp. So I'm going to copy this up in Ableton. And one cool thing that you can do in Ableton, which I love, is that you can click this fold button. So you saw here, I put all the notes that are in the scale and I made 3 octaves, right? Because I want to have a little bit of a range. I don't just want to be like in 1 octave and not be able to move up and down. So I usually do 3 octave ranges. I'll do the middle one that I want to start with, and then I'll put an octave range above it and below it. I highly recommend you guys do that. And what we're going to do here is we're going to move all of our notes that we just played. So these are all in key or in the scale, right? And we're going to move them off the screen, off the loop, right? And we're going to click this fold button, which is going to hide any note that's not being used. So all of these notes, even though they're off the screen, they're still in use. And this is basically going to be helpers for us, you know, kind of like you do ghost notes in FL Studio, if you know about that. Basically, it's going to make it so we can't put anything out of key. Okay, so all the notes are going to be in the scale, in key, speaking the same musical language, if you will. So Ableton 11, which has already been announced, is going to take care of this problem anyways. You're just going to be able to highlight, put whatever scale you want to be in and highlight it. So it's going to be amazing. Ableton 11 is GG on all other DAWs. I've been saying this. I've been saying that Ableton's the best for a while. Just my opinion. Don't flame me in the comments for that either. Either way, let's get started. So I have my scale here and I'm going to make a melody. So let's make a melody real quick. Play that, right? And what we can do is we can layer under it. So I can layer a bass under this note, or we can just, you know, we have that simple. I think this note's a little bit too low on the velocity, so I'm just going to turn that up. And that's one very important thing, guys, is velocities are super important. When you hear the note kind of play low, and that's something that you can really only hear on a piano really well. If you're using a synth or something that's evolving and very complex from the get, it's going to be hard for you to really discern that. So try to use a piano to start off, and we can change the VST after. All that we care about is the MIDI, the melody, the actual MIDI. That's what we care about to start with. So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to duplicate this down just to see. Okay, so I like that. So now I'm going to lay a top melody on top of that. Or like a counter melody, rather. Something like that. So let's try again. Okay, so I like that. So let's copy that. And again, we're going to quantize this guy. I quantize all my stuff. If you guys want to make it a little bit natural, more natural sounding, you know, you can shift things around. For the purposes of this video, I'm just going to keep it like this. And the effects that we're going to add, like we'll use RC20, which will add some detune effects. That's going to make it a little bit more real sounding. So that's how I usually add the realism to my stuff. So this guy obviously starting too early here. And this note is a little bit too low, I think. So we're going to turn this velocity up a little bit. So right now this is all a piano and it sounds pretty decent, right? And we can add a, you know, let's add a drum rack and add some drums to this just for the sake of it, just to see what it sounds like, right? This is one thing that I do a lot, by the way, and I highly recommend you guys do, is just, you know, even though you might make a beat, sometimes I'll start off with just this and it sounds so hard that I'll actually make a beat out of it. So let's go. So I'm gonna put this clap here, this clap here. Let's put the hi-hats going pretty damn fast. Actually, let's put the velocity down, and let's just put a kick. Okay, that hi-hat's a little too fast, so we'll do it. Yeah, we rapping. We trapping. I only do this shit for a try. I don't know. She really fucking with my. I don't know. I'm not. I try to rap, but I'm mainly a producer. Clearly, we're working on it though. So yeah, so you can kind of hear the gist of it. Now what we're gonna do is we already have a decent kind of something. We can add to this later. Or we can keep adding more to it. But for now, we're just going to keep it as it is and start experimenting. So what I like to do is I like to duplicate my VST. I like to keep this. I'll make this red usually or something. And I'll just turn this off and mute this because I want to keep this as reference if I ever need to go back. So now I got, right? So I got that. And I'm going to duplicate it again because I actually wanted to do something else. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna solo this, right? Okay, So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna remove all of this. So right, so I'm gonna take all the underlying MIDI, all the kind of like the bass of the melody, not the actual bass like 808 bass, but like the bass, like the ground floor bass of the melody, you know, what's kind of holding it all together, the meat and potatoes. I guess that is the bass, right? But you know, so that's a piano right now, but what I'm gonna do, clearly you can see this is these are long notes. The piano doesn't really do anything too crazy with those long notes. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna change this, and now we'll go to a synth, right? We'll do a synth. Let's do a brass synth. So this is more gonna be like a flute or something like that. No. Kind of Zelda kind of like sound. You know, and now you switch in. I like that. Okay, so I'll add a little bit of reverb to this. Valhalla's pretty lit. You know, I'll filter out a little. Add EQ, you know, to filter out frequencies that are sounding a little too harsh. So, you know. You know, so you kind of get the gist of where we're going, okay? So we'll change, let's actually change the, or actually let's copy this one more time. And actually this time I'm going to change the, I'm just going to change the, whatchamacallit? I'm going to change the VST. So instead of Analog Labs, let's actually use Omnisphere here, okay? And this is what it's all about. Making melodies, loops, and samples, making this music. It's all about, you know, staying in key, staying in the scale, right? And then also experimentation. You know, if you're not willing to experiment, if you're not willing to have fun, try new things, you know, like you're not gonna make anything good. You're just not. Okay, so if you're just here just to, I want to make the hardest beat, I want to send it to Drake, but like you're not willing to put in the work and the time, you know, over time you get better and it becomes easier. And if you learn how to actually play the keys, you can then really express yourself. And if you already know how to play an instrument, you're ahead of the game because you can just play out, you know, if you can play the guitar, play out the guitar. And then for the rest of the beat, do it like this, you know, lay the guitar down and then build around your guitar with other instruments and stuff. So highly recommend you guys doing that. Actually, speaking of a guitar, let's pick a guitar in here. Why not? I don't know what this is going to sound like, but let's see. Take this, we already got something in this melody range, so I'm gonna just bring this up a little bit. And what I'm trying to do is just fill in those octave ranges. You know, I'm thinking of this kind of like a sandwich, or like there's a certain space. It's like I want to make sure my melodies aren't necessarily, I don't want melodies colliding in the same area. You know, unless you start panning things, then you know they're not gonna clash. But you kind of want to layer, literally layer, kind of like a sandwich. Just go up and start adding stuff in different octave ranges, and that's going to fill up and make your whole melody sound like a full, complete body of work. So that's another key that people sleep on, and something that new producers don't quite understand, and why their melodies aren't sounding good. So let's do this. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to and here I'm just going to, you know, I'm just messing with this now. Now I'm using, again, remember, everything I do is in key right here, right? So I like that, actually, how this syncopation works here. So I'm actually gonna, whoops, I'm actually gonna copy this. I'm gonna play this. that's a little bit of a variation of the melody. I don't like this guitar, to be honest, but we can change this. We don't really need any reverb on this because this has some pretty... Okay. Okay, so let's try that together. And I'm gonna group, I like to group all my melodies together in case I want to add any effects to them together. And we're getting really close to where we're gonna solidify kind of the idea of the sample, and then we're gonna start adding things to it. So let's go to this piano, right? And I'm gonna take off this, right? So this is just gonna be the bass, right? So you know you got melodies going on, counter melodies. It's different. They're playing with each other, you know? You know? And once we add effects is when this is gonna get crazy. You know, once we start reversing things or whatever, that's when things are gonna get interesting. So right now I have this, right? And what I'm gonna do with this melody is I'm going to, one thing you could do, and let's try this out just to see if this works, is we're gonna record the group. So let's record the group. And in Ableton, you can select audio from, pick the group, and then I arm it for recording, and then I record. Always record 2 loops, because you wanna get the second loop. That way you can get the bleed in from the first loop into the second loop, so it sounds complete. Okay, here's what I mean. If you look at the beginning of this, when it started, see how it kind of, it starts? See? Let me show you. See how that builds up, that sound wave right there? Well, if I play it twice, right? So this is a 4-bar loop. If I just put it here, the second half that recorded has bleeding, it's bleeding in from the first half, right? So see here, it's a little bit more full. So it makes it a better loop, basically. And that's how you make a loop. You got to record it twice, basically, so that way the start is really sounding, so it actually sounds like a loop, right? It doesn't sound like it just starts out of nowhere when it comes back. And what you can do here is then you can start. See? So you can completely change the pitch. You can reverse it. That doesn't sound good to me, but you know, you can add that reverse and put it in the background or something like that, you know? So I'm gonna take this melody, I'm gonna bring it up, and I'm gonna actually add like a halftime to it. You know, I don't really like that, to be honest, but it's okay. You know, we try it out. If it doesn't work, keep moving. You know, you don't have to pick the first thing, but when something sounds good, go with it. So again, let's go back to this piano right here. Not a fan of this piano, but it's okay. We're gonna change this. No. And we just shuffle through, you know, try some different things. Let's see. Maybe we can do, let's do keys, and let's do dark, simple. Yeah, let's see. Hell no. The dark is messing it up. That's why. Okay, so here we go. Okay, here we go. I want an EQ a little bit more on here. Okay, and here what we can do is we can add like a shaper box. If you guys have shaper box, it's amazing. You can do patterns. So you can add shaper box and then kind of filter it out. Right here you can do. Now we add some RC20, let's say. Oh shit. Okay, I thought it unactivated my RC20 for a second. So we can add some RC20, we can add some wobble. Let me turn on my camera again. Okay, so we're back. Yeah, we can add some wobble with RC20. Okay, so we have our bass here, the bass of this beat, right? Right? So you can say that's how that goes. You know, I like to layer my beats like this. A little bit redundant to put it every single time. You know, but let's say this is your beat. Let's say we have all of this here. Actually, let's lay it out. So we're going to record. So we're going to go into the timeline mode right here. I'm going to start recording. We're going to play this out. And then we're going to... It's actually recording at the top, but that's okay. You know, so slowly things are going to be added in, right? You know, so that's good. Let's do this, delete this. We obviously don't need that. Honestly, don't need the drums and stuff. So we'll take this, right? So now we'll mess with the beat here. This is what I do. So I'll record it into the timeline. Boom. So that already sounds, I like the way that sounds, to be honest. And what I'll do is I'll turn it on with the automation. You know, right click on the on off button. I'll click show automation. Then the automation shows up under the group, right? Because that's what I have selected. Then on and off, there's only two states for this automation. If this was an EQ, then there'd be a range and I could kind of finely drag it up and down. But for this, it's just going to be either on or off. So like I said, I like the way that halftime sounds, but let's see, maybe there's a... No. You know, so you could do something like that. Add an EQ just to make sure you're not doing anything crazy. Nothing's too low is showing up. You know, so you can do something like this. And I like to add this master and make it loud just to make sure my melody is always audible. Boom. And this could be the melody, to be completely honest. I like this. This isn't bad. Not something you might, and probably not something you'd use for trap or anything like that, but, you know. Or maybe it is something that you would use for trap, right? And obviously this is just short because you want, when you do this, if you're making samples for yourself, you obviously know once you export this to audio, you know, you can, if this is the chorus, you can just double this, right? So it could be 8 bars. And then, you know, let me actually duplicate this loop here. Here, so we'll do that, duplicate, and yeah. You know, you can just go crazy. So here we can have this go here, can have no hi-hats come in, boom. And then you could say, well, let's add a bass. Insert, let's see, insert MIDI track. Boom. So let's add a bass here. And let's say, where the hell is my, let's use one of the 808s here, you know, whatever. We'll use the Spins Junior. Let's throw in a tuner just so we can see what we're in. And I like to copy the drum MIDI. You know, delete that. Obviously, we are in the key of what? E flat minor, remember? So D sharp. So when I go, I'm gonna do D sharp. And I believe if this is tuned correctly, so, you know, so we can have this like that. You know, you can have that be like that. Obviously, I don't like that transition. I would have this come in like this and keep the bass. Whatever, you know, but you can keep messing with this and you get the idea. So anyways, I'm gonna leave the video at that because I don't want to make it too long. I'm gonna have to chop this up, of course. But hey, if you guys enjoyed the video, if you got some value from it, if you have any questions, want me to do anything, let me know in the comments below and I will address those. As always, have a great day and thank you all for watching. Peace out.